Welcome to SkyWeek. I'm Tony Flanders from Sky and Telescope magazine, and I'll be your guide to the astronomical wonders that are currently on display overhead. Let's see what's happening in the sky from Monday, February 10th to Sunday, February 16th. The waxing gibbous moon is very high on Monday, below the planet Jupiter in the constellation Gemini. It's lower left of Jupiter on Tuesday, and passes through Cancer on Wednesday and Thursday. Then, on Friday, the moon is full in Leo, to the right of the bright star Regulus. After that, the moon begins to wane again. The full moon is gorgeous, especially when it's rising, as in this photo by my colleague Dennis DeChico. The full moon is also especially bright, almost twice as bright as it is just 2 days before or after. If you view it through telescopes or binoculars, you can see why. The modest-sized crater Tycho, which isn't usually very prominent, sticks out like a sore thumb when the moon is full. And emanating from it are bright rays of light-colored rock that stretch most of the way across the moon's visible surface. Tycho is the youngest major crater on the moon, just 108 million years old. Most craters are much older, formed in a giant cataclysm called the Late Heavy Bombardment that ended 3.8 billion years ago. Most of the moon is quite dark due to space weathering, bombardment by micrometeorites, and the fierce wind of charged particles that streams out of the sun. But when an asteroid strikes the moon, it exposes the light-colored rock underneath. That's why young craters like Tycho, Copernicus, and Aristarchus are so bright. And if the impact is especially big, it splatters molten rock over the surrounding area, forming aprons around the crater and rays stretching away from it. The molten rock recondenses into shiny glass that reflects light back the way it came. That's why the moon is especially bright at full phase, when the sun is directly overhead on the moon, and the light bounces straight back toward Earth. In addition to being unusually bright, Tycho is a beautiful, classically shaped crater. Like most large craters on the moon and elsewhere, it has a mountain in the center. When a crater forms, the molten rock sloshes up the sides and then sloshes back again. It meets in the center and freezes to form a central peak. Tycho's central peak has been photographed in amazing detail by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, which has been imaging the moon since 2009. The LRO flies so low that it can even take photos of individual boulders, like this 1,000-foot block coated with smooth, shiny rock that melted and refroze. You might be wondering how we can know that Tycho is 108 million years old. That's thanks to Apollo 17, the last manned mission to the moon. Its astronauts brought back 240 pounds of rock to be studied in laboratories on Earth, including some rocks from one of Tycho's rays. Even though Tycho is more than 1,000 miles from the Apollo 17 landing site. Radioactive gases inside these rocks prove that they solidified 108 million years ago. The Apollo missions had huge scientific importance. Much of what we know about the history of Earth and the rest of the solar system comes from rocks brought back by the astronauts. For every asteroid that hits the moon, 20 hit Earth. But on Earth, the evidence is soon erased by erosion. The moon preserves Earth's history better than Earth does. The Apollo 17 astronauts also brought back some amazing photos, including the famous blue marble picture of Earth seen from outer space. But my favorite of all is this image of the crescent Earth as seen from orbit around the moon. Next week, we'll talk about the Great Orion Nebula. Until then, this is Tony Flanders from Sky and Telescope magazine, wishing you clear skies and great views.
Brought to you by Woodland Hills Camera and Telescopes, serving stargazers since 1952.